G'day legends, hope you're all fantastic. We're going to have a side-by-side look at the SD-1w and the DS-1w from Boss as boosts into an already crunchy amp today. This won't be like a super deep dive video. I'm mostly just going to explore how they push a kind of rhythm tone into a lead tone. When I started out playing guitar, I was pretty convinced that the pedal that I needed in front of my crunchy Marshall style amp was a Boss DS1 until I tried one and I realized this isn't what I wanted. It looks cool and it says distortion on it. Then somebody let me borrow an SD1 and it was everything I'd ever wanted out of there. You know, just pushing the mid-range, giving me extra saturation and attitude. It made things easier to play and it was a pretty cool yellow color. What we're going to do here is have a listen to the standard modes of these pedals as boosts, just so I can kind of demonstrate, you know, this epiphany that I had when I was about 15 years old. But then we'll hear the custom modes because I think the DS1 on the custom mode works a lot better as a boost than the standard mode. And my reference for this kind of sound is the Gary Moore album, Corridors of Power. If you haven't listened to that, go and do it. Gary is on fire on that album. And there's a video floating around from sometime in the 80s where Gary's demoing some Boss pedals and he's got a DS1 on the board into a Marshall. It sounds pretty cool and they kind of talk about the way they use it, which is pretty much the way I'm using it here. So I'll let you hear the dry sound. I'm using the Synergy Brit 800, a Synergy Syn 5050, a Fractal X load. I'm loading up an IR and some plate reverb in post. This is my old Strat. On the bridge pickup, we get this. The DS1 has what I call the cornstarch effect, where you kind of add it and it just makes everything ridiculously thick. In this context, maybe a little too thick, where you start to lose the attack from your guitar, especially a Strat like this, where the attack is so in your face and aggressive, really smooths everything out, versus the SD1, which is kind of giving you more of what you already like in there, and it's cutting out a nice amount of low end. Let's just do the same thing, and you would have seen that I turned up the gain on the SD1 a little bit just to get a tiny amount of soft clipping in there and the tone control, just where I like them. We'll now do the same thing but in the custom mode, and in this case the DS1 is giving you this massive clean boost. It's really cool. It's not smearing everything out and making you kind of lose what you like about your tone in there. It's maybe less fuzz style or something like that, whereas the SD1 just has kind of more of an extended low end response. Check it out. the DS-1 is giving you way more of a level boost in there. It's kicking the amp into crazy amounts of saturation. The SD-1, still pretty well behaved. I actually think I kind of enjoy the standard mode more than the custom mode for doing this thing on the SD-1. Basically on all the Wazacraft pedals, I seem to enjoy the custom mode a little bit more. And I've seen people say, well, why don't they just make it custom mode only? The SD-1's a good example because in this context, I think I prefer the standard mode. So we'll do this with the Les Paul. I'm going to go back to standard mode and we'll hear custom mode on the DS-1, which I think works better as a boost versus just the standard old SD-1 circuit. Apologies to Uncle Steve for ruining their most iconic riff right there. But that's pretty interesting, right? The DS-1, as soon as you bring some clipping into the circuit, does that super smooth, super saturated lead thing. It transforms your tone, whereas the SD-1 more enhances it in there. And if you crank up the gain control on there, you can hear that you definitely start to get a little bit of that DS-1 character in there, but very, very different. So this is a shorter video, I know, but I think the big takeaway in here, and people have done this video heaps, like the DS-1 versus the SD-1, but I'm almost making this video for my 15-year-old self, where, you've got an amp you really like the sound of, and it's not channel switching, but you just want to go from like a rhythm to a lead sound, just get an SD-1. Don't even get a Wazacraft one, just get this standard cheap SD-1, get one secondhand, get one beaten up. They're pretty much indestructible. And you can use it for the rest of your life. They're an amazing pedal. I still have an original SD-1 that I love. I got one of the 40th anniversary ones as well. Kind of tempted to get a Wazacraft one as well because for a clean amp, I really like the custom mode, but just for boosting a Marshall style thing, standard mode on the SD-1, that's what you want. If you want to take either a clean amp and make it sound really grungy and gnarly like I did in my video with the DS-1, that does the thing. It can do pseudo fuzz stuff. And if you want to get that super smooth, liquid lead sound out of a crunchy amp, well, it's going to transform it as well. So that's my take on it anyway. I mean, there's a reason Boss have sold a gazillion of each of these pedals, right? And if you own one, let me know what you use it for, how you like it, and I should probably let you hear both of them together at the same time. You know what? I might even just jam over a backing track and do some lead stuff and A/B between them and then go for both of them because more is more. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.